Hi, everybody. I'm Evan Mercer. Welcome to Conversations with For Our Common Good. For Our Common Good is committed to amplifying the voices of and spreading awareness of community nonprofits. Advocacy for a wide range of issues is more important now than ever before. Today, I have the privilege of sitting down with Rebecca Holt, Executive Director and founder of Charlie's Heart Foundation, whose mission is to empower families to stay together when faced with difficult circumstances. And they do this by funding small nonprofits with innovative programs designed to improve the lives of at-risk and vulnerable families. Well, hi, Rebecca. Thank you for taking the time to talk with me today.
Well, thanks for having me.
You're very welcome. Now, your mission of helping at-risk and vulnerable families is so inspiring.
Well, thank you.
What was your inspiration for Charlie's Heart Foundation? Tell us about Charlie.
Well, our inspiration was Charlie. Our son, Charlie, died very suddenly and tragically in 2017. And our community gathered around us and supported us. We actually had, when someone dies very unexpectedly, like our son did, people don't know what to do. So in fact, a college friend of mine set up a You Caring site and passed it around to some of our close friends, and they didn't know what to do, so they donated money. And at the end of the day, we thought, well, what are we going to do with this? At first, I said I was just going to give it to the Humane Society because Charlie loved animals, or maybe we would start a scholarship fund. Mm-hmm. Luckily, there were people around me that knew better than I did at the time. And so we sat with it for a while. And then over actually a glass of wine, my dear friend of mine said, "What do you really want to do?" And I said, "I really want to start a nonprofit. I really want to support other families." Mm-hmm. And she looked at me and she said, "I'm going to help you do it." And she did. Wow. She did. And thank goodness that we had people surrounding us and people that really cared about us to help us through that really acute time after our son died. But it really felt like this was Charlie living on. This whole foundation stemmed from when he died. What I asked the doctor was, "Can you please take any of his organs? Please donate whatever you can. Mm-hmm. But if you can take anything, please take his heart." He had the most beautiful heart. And so that's kind of what inspired Charlie's Heart Foundation, is his beautiful heart. That's how we came up with the name. And it's a little piece of him that's living on, is the foundation.
Wow, that's an incredible story. Now, what is your vision and your mission for the Charlie's Heart Foundation, and how are you going to work to realize them? How are you working to realize them?
Well, so our vision is to empower those families to stay together when faced with difficult life circumstances. And that's a pretty broad vision, right? That's and our mission currently is to work with small nonprofits. We realized very early on that there are so many great programs out there, so many good grassroots organizations that are doing things on a very personal level, that are running programs that are, on a shoestring budget. Mm-hmm. And they're so good because they're really digging in and getting their hands deep into the yucky mud, right? And they're doing that work. And we realized quickly, why would we reinvent the wheel? Let's support those organizations that are already doing it. Let's connect those organizations, to connect one organization to another organization, and maybe they can be stronger. Mm-hmm. Let's build those relationships, not just fund, but just really make sure that we're building those connections.
Wow. And how did you go from that idea to the reality of the foundation on the ground?
Well, it's definitely been a journey, and from trial and error, pretty much,
Yeah.
to be honest, by doing that work, by having those conversations, by realizing what our own strengths were really quickly, and by going and visiting lots of programs, lots of other nonprofits, and going, wow, this exists already. This, why would we create something that already exists? Why don't we support them?
Yeah.
Why don't,
Hmm.
so.
Well, it seems like there's been a real evolution or maybe growth in Charlie's Heart from the time you started it in 2017
Mhm.
to 2020 when you actually began making grants. What influenced you to begin making grants? Was it your original goal, or was it a case of it being time to move your goalposts, natural evolution kind of thing?
I'm going to be pretty frank. I'm not sure we knew we had an original goal in mind. I think
Okay.
if we're being honest, I think my original goal was to get into the nonprofit world and to do what I could to help, and knowing how our community surrounded us, we wanted to surround other communities. Originally, we began partnering with specifically two organizations in Ethiopia, one that supported the main city of Addis Ababa, and then one that supported the rural areas of Ethiopia. And that, the long of the short of it is that I had a real connection with Ethiopia. I spent a summer there and fell in love with the people.
Uh,
This was many moons ago, before I had children, before I was married, and just found this grit in the people there, this grit and this vulnerability that they're just a beautiful people, right? And I kind of made I said, when I left and came back home after that amazing summer of volunteering and working in orphanages and sick clinics, and just having a really servant's heart, I said, I'm going to come back here in some way, somehow. I'm coming back here. And after Charlie died, things just kind of fell into my lap. We met some really amazing people. One of the organizations we met was A Glimmer of Hope, which works in rural Ethiopia, and their founders had a similar story, and that they really wanted to dig in. And I just loved their idea of really being present and being in the work, not above the work, right? I find that sometimes, executive directors, that sounds very like, it just sounds like you're not really getting your hands dirty, right? And that's
sounds
really what
kind
I
of
wanted to do.
corporate, maybe. Yeah.
There you go. Sounds kind of, yes, correct. And so that's not how they are. And they have not only become mentors to me and our foundation, but we have really supported them. And so it's, again, that togetherness, that, you're better together, right?
Right. Well, that's incredible. You started out in Ethiopia, but now you're making grants.
We
Can
are.
can you tell us a little bit about the grant making process?
Sure. So we have a grant cycle annually.
Mm.
And it opens in the spring, and then we go through the, LOI process. And then from there, we kind of narrow that down and go into the application process. And then my favorite part of the process that we do is our interview process. An interview sounds so like, again, very corporate, right? But our interview, we like to look at it as a conversation. The goal of the interview is to really get a sense of what this organization is about. And I think you can really tell a lot by having a face-to-face conversation with someone. and to really find the heart in what they do. Um, and it's not always about the numbers for us. It's not all about how the budget looks on the spreadsheet for us. It's about funding meaningful programs that we feel is going to align with our mission. And also, again, relationships, feeling that we can connect to that organization, that hopefully this will be not just a one-year grant, that they'll continue to apply, or we actually have started a new grant program this year, a new pilot program. I can tell you a little bit more about that in a second.
Okay.
So I love that interview process though. So we go through the interview process, and then, we make decisions by the end of September is when we make the decisions.
Okay. So you started out in Ethiopia,
Mhm.
and my understanding is that, like our organization, For Our Common Good, you support nonprofits in a variety of states: North Carolina,
Yeah.
South Carolina, Tennessee, Virginia, Georgia, West Virginia.
Correct.
And your 2021 recipients were in North Carolina, South Carolina, and Texas, right?
Yep. North Carolina, South Carolina, Texas.
Now,
Mhm.
for those organizations who aren't aware of Charlie's Heart, how could they find you and get involved with this grant making process?
Well, we are on Grant Station, so you can look us up on Grant Station to find grants. So we try to publicize where we can, and we do a lot of word of mouth. We also find that the people that are in our own community, we want them to engage as well. The people that know our family, that know Charlie, that know our other children. We are constantly asking, hey, if you know an organization that you feel would make a good fit, please let them know. Please let them know. So I also think word of mouth really helps out for us as well.
Well, that's great. Now, it's been 2 years with COVID,
Mm-hmm.
and so many families and nonprofits are struggling, and especially the ones that families and turn to. And have you seen an uptick in grant applications since the COVID years, or maybe now that we're hopefully winding down from COVID?
Fingers crossed, right?
Right.
Well, to be honest, our we actually, our inaugural true grant cycle started in 2020.
Oh, right.
So
You timed that perfectly, didn't you?
we did or we didn't, I would say. It was definitely needed when we did start our grant program. So we don't have a lot of information prior to, but we had over 100 applications.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, and last year we had for the 2021 cycle we had 133. So we'll see. We just opened our cycle at the beginning of March. So we'll see how many applicants we have this time around. But I guess we started when we needed to start it, right?
Right. Now, you said you had over 100 applications for these grants. How many do you fund out of those? What's out of those massive amount of applications?
So we don't have a hard and fast number.
Uh-huh.
We fund. We have a number. We know what we have as our budget, if you will, that we are able to fund, and that's just but sometimes we fund based on where our heart is, where we feel like programs are going to be the most meaningful to us, into the mission that we are about, right? So this year we had 11 grantees.
Wow.
And our numbers range from $5,000 to $50,000. So it just kind of depends. What we fund is just really narrowing down where we feel like the most meaningful programs are.
Well, that's great. So you are actually able to grant a good number of programs every year.
Yes.
Now, another thing, you mentioned it earlier, I think, a glimmer of hope.
Yes.
And then that, my understanding is that culminated into Charlie's watering hole.
Mm-hmm.
That's right, right? So
Yeah.
tell me a little bit about what is a glimmer of hope, and then what is Charlie's watering hole, and how did glimmering of hope turn into Charlie's watering hole?
So, A Glimmer of Hope is an organization out of Austin, Texas. They've been around for more than 20 years.
Mhm.
And Philip and Donna Berber, they are the founders. She has been executive director many times, as well, intermittently. And then they work in rural Ethiopia. So they work outside of the big city of Addis.
Mhm.
And we had the opportunity to travel with them to Ethiopia a couple of times. And through our travels with them, seeing what they do is they really empower those families and those communities in rural Ethiopia. They really get the buy-in from them to go into the communities and say, instead of saying, this is what we think you need,
Mhm.
they ask the communities, what do you need? How can we improve, help you help yourself? It's all about that. It's that buy-in for them.
Mhm.
Um, which is really important. Nobody really wants a handout. It's again, the idea of, you know, giving a man a fish instead of teaching a man to fish. It's teaching a man to fish, right? So when we went there, we really saw the need in just access to clean water. That's a huge, just those daily needs, food, water, shelter. And that water piece is still extremely a high priority still, right? So we decided that we really wanted to fund a well. And yeah, so the well was constructed, and we were actually able to go back and see the well and see it in use and see the community that uses the well.
Yeah.
And it was pretty amazing to see what just access to clean water can do for health, for sanitation, just the quality of life. And it's right next to a school that was also constructed for the community. It's in a central location, so it's going to be utilized for many, many years to come.
Wow, that must be so satisfying to see that on the ground results of your hard work.
Yes, it was definitely a very precious moment, right? It's another piece of our little boy living on, which is what we really hope for.
Well, that's great. You know, there's two ways you raise funding, I think. Is that you use your online shop, and then you have something called Charlie's Carnival.
Correct.
And my understanding, it's been a couple of years, but you're bringing the carnival back.
Mhm.
Tell me a little bit about Charlie's Carnival and what that day at the carnival looks like.
So, yes, we do have a very small online store, and honestly, it just sells the best, really, really super soft t-shirts around. So, it's just my husband's a t-shirt guy, if you know anyone like that. But we love our t-shirts.
Well, I'm going to
And
have to get
then
a t-shirt
you
myself.
need to get a t-shirt.
I do.
Um, and but yes, Charlie's Carnival is a community event in the heart of downtown Matthews, which is about 5 minutes from where we live and where Charlie's community is. It's a carnival. It's a day where families can come out and you know jump on bounce houses. There are food trucks. There's space painting. There's rock climbing walls.
Wow.
This year we'll have a stilt walker out there, which I've actually never seen myself. So I'm super excited about that.
Oh my. Oh, that
Um,
sounds like really fun.
yeah, it's really, really fun. We are an organization that there's nothing against galas and things like that, but we're really about family and about community. And so we wanted our one fundraising event to be about that. The cost to attend the carnival is free. We clearly love a donation, and that's how we're able to sustain the foundation and really do the work that we do. But it's about having a fun day with your family.
So how, if people are interested in attending the carnival, how do they find out the details, where it is?
It's on our website. We
Okay.
have a carnival page, and it tells you how to register for the carnival. Again, the registration is free, and we are doing a raffle this year. So we have 3 different raffle packages. One is a Disney vacation. One is a like an attraction around the Charlotte area, different passes to things and to games and theater tickets and things like that. And the third one is a dining package to different restaurants. And so you can buy a raffle ticket, and we're selling 250 raffle tickets, and they're $100 each. You can make a donation, but to register is free. So, and it's all the information's on our website, on our carnival page. And you can also follow us on social media, on Instagram or Facebook, and you can get any updates about the carnival, where it is. But it's next Saturday. So we're
All
looking
right.
forward to it.
I hope you have good weather.
Yes, fingers crossed again.
Well, that's incredible. So you got what you've done so far is so incredible, but what are your plans for going forward? Are there programs you'd like to add or new things you'd like to do?
We've gone pretty fast.
I bet, yes.
We established and incorporated 2 months after our son died. That's when yes. So we've gone really, really fast. And sometimes, if you'd ask my husband, he'd say, Rebecca, you always say you're not doing enough, and now you're telling us you want to slow down. And I don't. I'll tell you that I'll say that out loud, and that's not the truth.
Right.
To be perfectly honest. But there's always more, right? In my vision, there is us, running a program out, running a bigger program outside of the grants. We are this year, I should say, piloting a new three-year grant program instead of just our 1-year grant program. That's called our partner grant program, and it's based on having at least one successful annual grant cycle with us. And this is an invitation only program. We found that granting over a long period of time really is better for an organization, right? It takes a lot of time to write a grant. It takes a lot of time, and a lot of the programs and the nonprofits we support, they don't have grant writers, right? They don't have development directors. It's a lot of money and a lot of time. And those are usually the ones that we want to partner with. We want to support, right? So we found that we've built relationships with certain grantees that have been the relationships where, hey, I can get a call from so-and-so. Oh yeah, let me call you back. We're having conversations more on a, weekly or monthly basis. And it's not just a transactional piece, it's a relationship. And so for those organizations, we feel really strongly that having this 3-year grant program where we can really follow them and follow their progress, and they can use us as a resource and really engage with them, is where it's going to be for us, right? So we're real excited about that program starting this year and this grant cycle. And so out of that, I'm sure other things were going to happen, right? It just seems like you said, this evolution, it's been rather natural and organic for us. And so, in my heart of hearts, I know there's going to be another program or another something waiting in the wings from there.
Wow. What an inspiring story. I'm inspired.
Oh, well,
What
thank
an
you.
amazing conversation we've had. Do you have any final thoughts? Anything you'd like to add before we sign off here?
Um, well, I just appreciate your time. I appreciate you reaching out to me and for letting me share a little piece of Charlie and Charlie's Heart Foundation with you. And come to the carnival, check out our website and please email if you have any questions.
Okay. Well, thank you so much, Rebecca, for sitting down with me today and for all the heartwarming work that you and your organization does and your husband. Now, for anyone looking for more information about Charlie's Heart Foundation, you can find their website at charliesheartfoundation.org, correct?
Correct.
Great. Well, thank you so much again. I'm Evan Mercer, and this has been Conversations with For Our Common Good.